I'm gonna start off because I'm just gonna describe myself, and I probably said this before. I'm 6'3", I'm about 270 pounds, and the brother I'm gonna talk to you about is my height and probably about 100 more pounds than me. Big solid dude, bigger beard, tatted up, love motorcycles, survived poverty. Actually, him and I were homeless together at one point, living in the YMCA. Like, he made it through all of those things, the drug game, getting locked up. Like, he made it through all those things, and then he died by unaliving himself in his 40s. So so I'm gonna talk about him a little bit. So all right, let me get to the story. So at one point I was struggling, and this truly legitimately my brother from another mother, he was like, hey man, listen, why don't you come up here? You ain't got to work. He was like basically telling me to reset, leave everything behind, reset, and get your mind right, because the direction you're going to snap on somebody. And I remember listening to it, and I was like, yeah, whatever. But I'm a man through it. You know what I'm saying? I'm a man through it. I'm gonna tough through it. I'm gonna stiff upper lip. I'm gonna be stoic. All that stuff that men do. And I'm one of those people that everybody kind of comes to, whether it be like advice or whether it be money or a place to stay. I grew up with my mother providing people with a place to stay. If you needed a couch or a floor to sleep on, my mother allowed people to come in and stay there. And when I became an adult, I kind of mimicked that, where somebody needed something. But all in all, I wouldn't go to people when I had issues. I would try to figure out a way to just push through it. And there was one day I was in my car, I'm driving, and I'm at a red light. And as soon as the light turned green, the person behind me laid on the horn. And I'm like, man, why this? I throw the car in park. I look in the rearview mirror, and it's a woman. So now I'm like, when am I, put the car back in drive, drove home, got home, and all 6'3", 200 or whatever pounds of me in my living room, dropped down on my knees and just like cry. Like if you were outside the window, you wouldn't know what that was coming from inside of my living room. And after I blew off that steam, like a little later, I went to the gun range and then went to the gym. So it was like one of them things where like I got a full load off. So I felt better after that. But that didn't, that was just like something I said, okay, I got through it. Now, if I have some issues, I could just do that. I didn't look at it as that's a problem. I didn't see that as that's, things.
You suppress it.
Yeah, things are going to come from that. I just looked at it like, yeah, I'm just going to power through it. I got to a real dark place. I was like drinking like crazy. People didn't even know how much I was drinking. I just was self-medicating myself. I was staying quiet. So he was the one that when I told him, he was like, yo, you got to like burn all that down. Whatever you go, like whoever you think you are, you not that. It's getting too much for you. So you got to start all over. And he was like, yo, just come up here. And his actual words was, I got broad shoulders. Remember, I'm telling you, 6'3", about 360, 370. I got broad shoulders, lean. That's what I'm here for. We've been through a lot. You, my brother. That's what I'm here for. Come up here. So fast forward even more. I just got to a dark place where I was numb. At some point, I ended up doing therapy, which that's helped me. So I just wanted to paint that picture of who this guy was for me. He was, you know what I'm saying? He was there. He was one of those men who said, hey, I see something, this is not going well, you need it, and you can lean on me.
Right.
So fast forward to, it's October of 2019, I'm at work, and I'm looking on Facebook, and I see an obituary of his girlfriend. This is on a Thursday. And it didn't make sense to me, because in the obituary said she died on Monday. It didn't make sense to me because he would have called me. So I'm just looking at this like this is not her. And I'm reading through the thing, and I'm like, this is her. So I call him about 7 a.m. I call him, and he's like, he's already drunk. 7:30 in the morning. Oh man. Now he does not drink. He had a full bar. He was a smoker, but the drinks were for company.
Right.
And he's just, I'm like, oh man, listen, man, I just saw this, and he's clearly distraught. And I'm like, yo, who's there with you? And he's like, Jay, his son, his oldest son. His son is like 20 something. So I'm like, okay, you got somebody with you. There was another lady there that was there, trying to be there for him or whatever. So I was like, all right, cool. And I said, Saturday, we're going to come up there and take all your alcohol away. We'll get it back to you because you're going through something now. We'll get it back to you after, but right now, my greatest fear at this point, that he was going to drink himself till he didn't exist. That's what my mind was. I wasn't thinking any further than that. He's going to drink himself until he's gone. And so my solution was like, hey, and I called my cousin. I was like, yo, we got to go up there and get dude's alcohol. I told him everything going on. So he's like, okay, I'm going to call him. He called him, and then he called me back within 10 minutes. He was like, yo, we got to go up there now. I don't like what I'm hearing. He can't form a sentence. I don't understand what he's saying. I do not like what I'm hearing. And I'm like, well, his son's up there. I'm bargaining. Like, he got there. Let's go on Saturday. And, then we can, we're gonna get up there. We're going to laugh. We're going to joke. We're going to try to get his mind off of it. We're going to cry with him. We're going to do whatever we need. But, I'm thinking about, I got to work the next 2 days, not thinking like, yo, call in or tell my job, yo, I got to be gone. I'm sorry, short notice. I'm be gone for the next 2 days. Y'all got to figure it out. I didn't do that. I was like, yo, we'll go up on Saturday. So he was like, all right, but he's like, yo, I don't like what I'm hearing. One of the things I want to leave you with is, and it stuck out to me afterwards, is when I got off the phone with him that Thursday, the last thing he said to me when I was getting off the phone with him, he was like, hey, let me ask you a question, man. And I'm like, yeah, what's good? He said, yo, listen, when she left that morning, because she died in a car accident. He said, when she left that morning, she said, I'll be back. Why didn't she come back? And I was just like, I'm like, yo, I don't know what to say to that, man, And then that's what made me, like, call my cousin. We're like, yo, we gotta, because he's in a bad way. So those were the last words that we spoke to each other. Friday, I'm texting and calling because I'm like, he's not answering. I'm texting and calling. Saturday, nothing. And I get a text from the dude that does all of our tattoos. And he's like, hey, I don't know if you know what happened to Jess. And I'm like, yeah, I know what happened to her. And he's like, well, he said, he tried to, end his, he tried to end his life. He's in ICU right now. And I'm like, okay, we're going to get up there. And it's, when it comes to like hospital stays, there's certain people that are in charge of whether you can come up there or not. And I left my phone number because I figured the person that was in charge would see and be like, oh, this is bro. You know what I'm saying? This brother from another mother, like, but I never got, there was never any communication. And the hospital's not going to let you in and they're going to give you any information. They're just not gonna. They can tell you that the person's there, but other than that, they're not gonna tell you. And if there's an order or if there's somebody who's in charge of the visitation, then they have to approve you. You have to get put on a list. I was just trying to get it put on the list. Long story short, I get that text. Hey, anybody give you an update? What's going on? I'm like, no. And it was like, he said, are you somewhere where you can sit down? And,
oh no.
Yeah. And that was. That was it. The finality of it was like one of them things where, like I didn't get a chance to talk to him. I didn't get a chance to go see him. I didn't get a chance to, tell him I love him and say my goodbyes. It was just so incomplete. And then I started to run through what I could have done better. You know what I'm saying? I started beating myself up. Then I went and looked at his Instagram and I saw that he was basically saying goodbye on Instagram. You like when you read in his post, you could see he was telling, his girl, like, no, I'll see you soon. Like, you know what I'm saying? He was pictures and all this stuff. And so then and to this day, I still, kind of beat myself up about it because there was, especially after I started getting more training about stuff like this, there was so many signs there that I didn't recognize. And you're not expected to recognize, but there was a feeling that I felt like I needed to do something. I just didn't know what I needed to do, but I beat myself up that I didn't take days off and shoot up there and just lay there next to him. If I got to lay on the floor, he on the couch, whatever it is, that I didn't do that. So and the way he took himself out, he did two things. He used two methods. he wanted to be gone, Tiz. Like when his significant other passed, he was done. And you know what I'm saying? A big dude, loud, obnoxious. When he come in the room, he wanted to be known, been through all of that stuff, and then just gone, you know? And that was one of those things that stuck with me. And so when I started getting training on it, when I started getting mental health first aid, then I started to get the itch to do something like this and just have people come and talk about it. And then, like I said, offer some resources. And then that's really what I wanted to do. That's all this is really about.